Hey everyone, it's Wowus. We're here with Heroes of the Storm, and we're talking about Varian today, one of my favorite heroes. We're going to set him to level 30, and we're going to be talking about his level 4 talents and which you should choose and when. So to get us to level 4, we're just going to choose Lion Maw for now, but we'll talk a little bit about that as we go on. Varian is the most versatile hero in the game, in my opinion. He's one of my favorite heroes because you really have the option here of these 3 different choices that give you a lot of flexibility in how you play him. But the question really is, if you're going in, especially in a quick match or that type of situation, is which one do you pick? And your team is going to almost expect you to pick the right one, and they're probably going to be frustrated if you choose one that doesn't make a lot of sense. The most important thing to know is your team composition when you're looking at this, right? So Taunt, we'll start with. Taunt is my least favorite of the 3, and the reason for that is that the only real use for it, in my opinion, is if you are the only hero that can absorb a lot of damage on your team. So if you have a very squishy team, a team with characters like Jaina and Murkies and folks like that that are gonna get killed pretty easily, and you don't have folks like a Blaze or a Garrosh or somebody that can absorb a lot of damage, Taunt is going to be your choice. Now you see here, each of these you get a passive piece, and then with the exception of this one, the Twin Blades, you get an active choice as well. So with Taunt, you get passively maximum health and health regen increased by 40%. So you become very, very tanky all of a sudden. And his ability here is a silence that forces the enemy hero to attack him. It works on heroes. We'll see if we can maybe get this Arthas to come out with this next wave and show you how it works. But essentially, you run up to him and he's forced to continue to attack you for those couple of seconds. And he happened to be stunned at the same time, so that wasn't the best example. So we'll just kind of let this, we'll reset our talents here and run through it again real quick. So again, you see Arthas here, you do this, he's forced to attack you. So all in all, you're going to take this build if you need to absorb a lot of damage. But if you have another tank / bruiser on your team, you're probably not going to pick that. So let's reset and go again. Now we're going to talk about Colossus Smash. Colossus Smash, I'm generally going to take Lion's Maw with. Colossus Smash right now is my favorite build. What it does is, you see in the passive down below, it increases your base attack damage. So you see here, he does about 240 damage each last second, and then it's about 400-ish damage per second. You see here it ends up being about 240 per second when it evens out. So this damage last second is really where it's going to even out to. When you click this, right, you're now going to do a lot more damage. You're going to, again, do 480 damage, but you're going to become much weaker in terms of that. So you're going to take a 10% health reduction and a 10% health regen reduction. So again, that means that you're going to need to heal up a lot. You're not going to be able to sustain in a fight very long. So Colossus Smash tends to work well when you have a healer on your team who can keep your health up. But it also works well if you need to be one of the primary damage dealers. And when I talk about damage dealing, in this case, Colossus Smash really is good at beating up on tough to kill heroes. So somebody like an Arthas, it has this really cool ability here, right, where you jump on top of them. He loses his armor. It takes a 20 armor reduction for 3 seconds. You deal 520 damage, and then he ends up taking 20% more damage. Now, let's reset this really quick. And the cool thing about Colossus Smash is it makes you a very mobile hero, right? So you see Arthas running away here. Now I can Colossus Smash him, and then if he continues to run, I can then use my my E, the charge on him, to continue to chase. So you can really get into a situation where if an enemy hero is at low health and they're retreating, you can combo the E and the R to basically keep jumping on top of them. This can also work well with enemy heroes that have some sort of like blink or some sort of ability to get further away. But you see here, even if he tries to run here, I can now jump on top of him again. I can use my Q and take him out. So this really makes you a great finisher, and especially when you combo it with some of these these choices here in terms of talents to increase your Q too, you're going to have a lot of success just kind of melting down enemy heroes. The one thing I will note is I prefer with Colossus Smash to take Shield Wall at 10 because you really need this protection. This is really your one chance. If you jump in and you realize you can't kill them, your only option is going to be to use the Shield Wall and try to get out, which again it can be tough, right? But like at least gives you that much time to back away, and you can use this as a slow to back away. But you really need to be careful with your health. You can't afford to die a lot as a Varian, and so you want to be very, very careful if you're choosing Colossus Smash that you have all that damage output, but you need other people to absorb damage or you need some healing. But in my opinion, Colossus Smash, they have made the strongest option of the three as of right now. And the reason for that is if you look at any sort of guides or videos that were made earlier, maybe in last year, earlier this year this is November 2019, so earlier in 2019, a lot of folks will tell you to pick twin blades before the most recent patches because in the last, it was maybe 2 or 3 patches ago, they really nerfed twin blades, which is this last choice, and they really increased the power of both Taunt and Colossus Smash, but I think Colossus Smash has become the favorite of many Varian players. So let's reset this back and we're going to show you the last choice. So now in general, when you go twin blades, I usually prefer High King's Quest. This is going to increase your base damage once you complete all these quests, right? So we'll complete this quest, and now you're taking Twin Blades. Now, Twin Blades, as you see here, increases your attack speed by 100%. Base damage is reduced by 25%. So each individual hit is doing less damage, but you're doing many more hits. So now you become much quicker, right? So now you're doing this as opposed to the very slow swings that you normally would have. So in terms of this, where Varian becomes very successful, right, is now you take second wind, which means that your basic attacks heal, even more so at low health. And so then when an enemy is attacking, or when you're in like a fight like this, right, like you're basically healing up as quickly as they're damaging you. It's almost impossible for enemy minions, and you can clear these waves, you can do all this, and so Varian becomes very, very powerful, especially when you 1v1 or if you like 1v camps here, where you can kind of fly through this camp pretty quickly and not really have lost much health, so you become very successful at that. In terms of some other options here, you want to take probably Warbringer, some different things to increase your damage or the ability for enemies to heal, depending on the type of, what you have here. I usually take Ironforge with this, and then Frenzy makes you very, very powerful, and we'll just kind of run through here. We'll pick these. Reduce enemy healing can be good, Ironforge, and then Frenzy. And now you're doing like a lot of damage, as you can see here. And every third hit, is every 1, 2, 3, or 4, you end up doing bonus damage from your heroic strike, and you can see the cooldown on that is almost nothing with this, the way that he swings. So he's outputting an awful lot of damage, and we just were looking at Colossus Smash, right? And like a lot of times you're putting out almost 1,000 damage per second. So this is the most pure damage. Now they have reduced the ability of this. This used to be nearly impossible to beat 1v1. So this used to be a situation where if you got up against a Twin Blades Varian, and this is how I leveled my I played Twin Blades Varian almost exclusively, right? But he was somebody that before some of these nerfs, you could literally sit there against almost any enemy hero and you could out-heal and out-damage them. So they would never really be able to take you on unless they went 2 or 3 on 1 against you. So anybody that you went up against 1-on-1, pretty much you could melt. And since some of those nerfs, he's been weakened slightly in terms of this. He's still very powerful though, but it is not as powerful in my opinion as the Colossus Smash build right now. But he still does an awful lot of damage. So this is a very good choice if you have a very tanky team. You can use this to clear enemy minion waves pretty quickly, right? So where are the enemy minions? We'll get them going again for a second. Just to kind of show you how quickly he can clear minion waves. You can do a lot of siege damage with this. So if you need to clear waves very quickly, right, you can kind of melt through these waves very quickly with this, especially if you combo, some of these things. But especially at level 20, right, you can kind of push lanes very, very hard, as much as what would, was before a specialist. But essentially, if you want to push lanes, this is a great choice. You can do a lot of damage to enemy heroes. In terms of your strengths, like, again, you're not going to be able to take as much damage as a Taunt Varian for sure, but you have your W still, you have your Ironforge right here to put up your armor, so you have a lot of different options to stay in the fight. But again, it's just not as powerful as it used to be. This used to be like an almost unstoppable build. If you got to level 20, you pretty much won the game with this earlier this year, before some of these nerfs came in. So it's still a good choice, and I think that this is probably the easiest version of Varian to play. So if you're new to Varian, this is a good choice to just kind of jump in, and you can do some damage. You don't have to worry too much about things. You basically E, you Q, you do some auto attacks, and you're pretty much good, right? You're not going to really take a lot of damage. You can use your W to parry a lot of things. Like, again, it's just outputting a lot of damage, and you're healing up almost all that damage that you're taking, even against a very strong like mercenary camp. You can even solo some bosses with this. So we'll show you down here, right? In terms of this, you're going to take some damage, but if you use your parries correctly, right, you back away from this, you get back in, he's swinging, now I parry again, right? You can basically solo one of these, and with maybe like one other hero, you can definitely win this, but you can certainly drop this. Like, you can solo these folks if you time your parries correctly, and you're going to use them. And again, it's going to use a lot of your health, so this is not something you want to do if you know that the enemy team is coming, but you can at least start a lot of these bosses or the elite camps, right? So if you know that your team is on the way, you can definitely get this going. And like you can see, you can actually solo that without much effort. But again, you got to have some map awareness, and you got to make sure that the enemy team isn't just sitting out here, because you're gonna have trouble if you're down at half health and the enemy team shows up. So it gives you a lot of options, a lot of playability. So again, if you want to go back through this really quick, you want to choose Taunt if you are a Varian who is with a very squishy team and you need to take the damage for the team. You want to choose Colossus Smash if you have healing on your team. You are okay with not being able to take as much damage. So essentially you want to make sure you have a healer and some sort of bruiser or tank who can absorb a lot of the damage. This is going to turn you into really an assassin that can do single target damage. And Twin Blades is a good option, an all-around option for putting out a lot of damage, pushing lanes, being able to solo camps and even bosses in some cases. And I think this is the most beginner friendly. Colossus Smash is really the one that you want to pick up on, because this is actually as you learn to play the hero and really get good at him. I think you can be a lot more effective at taking out the hero on the enemy team that is most frustrating. So the other thing I forgot to mention with Colossus Smash too is you can get with his Colossus Smash, right, you can jump to the back line. So you can get to a Lieutenant Morales, or you can get to one of those other healers, Anduin or somebody else. So it's just a good option, and I think it's something that you want to maybe try and play a little bit. But again, all three are good options, and Varian has a high win rate. So if you don't have Varian yet, if you're like really a new player, Varian should be a hero you look to pick up very quickly. He's very easy to learn. He's a lot of fun to play, and you have so much versatility. But you got to have good awareness of your team composition. You can't just jump in and say like, well, I'm going to play Twin Blades no matter what, because if your team is really squishy and you pick Twin Blades, you guys are going to get wrecked. And even with Colossus Smash, it's very difficult if your team is super squishy. If you have no health and no health regen and you have no support to heal you or no healers to heal you, right, you're going to be in a lot of trouble when it comes to team fighting. So you got to choose the right one for the situation. If you're playing any sort of draft mode, it's probably something you want to discuss when you're going to choose them, is saying, I'm looking to play Twin Blades, or which variant do you want me to play? And you got to know all three builds, right? You have to know how to build each of these and the right talents for each. So definitely check it out. If you have questions, leave them in the section below. I'd love to do some more stuff on Varian. He's one of my, again, favorite heroes. A lot of fun to play, a lot of fun to just beat up on enemy heroes with. He can take a lot of damage, all that. So thank you so much for watching.